What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Manchester City versus Liverpool this weekend at the Etihad Stadium. Oh my wowza Rooney. This game would probably give you a heart attack, let's be honest. This month in general for Liverpool is just like you're looking at their month in general as a Liverpool fan, and you're looking at it and Manchester City twice. Obviously Benfica at home, which obviously we beat Benfica there yesterday, so we should be, realistically speaking, be in the semi-finals, but you're looking at probably Bayern Munich. Obviously they're playing Villarreal later tonight, so we'll see what happens there. But generally speaking for Liverpool, this is going to be an absolute mental month. Probably one of the craziest months potentially in Liverpool's history, provided obviously it goes well. If it goes bad, I don't think anyone will remember it whatsoever. Maybe rival fans might remember it and have a laugh, depending on obviously who you support. But you're looking at this and you're thinking, for Liverpool, for Manchester City as well, let's not forget, who could very well win a treble this year, which would be very, very iconic for them. Becoming the second club for Manchester to do a historic treble. This game in general between Manchester City and Liverpool is so huge. And I don't generally do like match previews or anything like that on this channel. It's more sort of topical videos and everything else. But this game is so big and so huge, and it has so many knock-on effects that it would almost be ridiculous not to talk about it. Because first of all, like if Liverpool beat Manchester City, in my opinion, not only do they go top of the league, but the confidence it gives Liverpool, and the confidence it takes out of Manchester City as well. They'll then be going away to a very tough Atletico Madrid side, and although they have a 1-0 advantage, and I do think they'll have enough still, regardless of what happens against Liverpool, to go through to the next round. But at the same time, you're going into a hostile atmosphere. Diego Simeone, some of those Atletico players as well, Luis Suarez, coming off the bench or whatever, João Felix, all these lads. I think they'll just make it so tough for Manchester City, and they will really, really make that night very, very uncomfortable. And then it sets up Wembley as well, which I have a funny feeling if Liverpool go and beat Man City at the Etihad, that City will come back and beat us at Wembley, and I think vice versa as well. I think it's going to be one or the other. I can't see one team winning both games, but I can see one team winning one of the games, if that makes sense. So, that's what makes it very, very intriguing. In terms of the game itself, it's going to be interesting to see how both sides approach it, especially Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. They're obviously the home side. We know how they like to play possession-based football. They keep the ball the majority of the time against every team they play, and that's sort of one of the key principles of their game, really, is keeping possession, tiring out the opposition. You obviously have João Cancelo getting forward on one hand side, obviously breaking forward, and obviously even without a striker, they're still finding a lot of ways to score goals, and they're still creating a lot of chances. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, they don't have a striker, obviously Aguero isn't there, Jesus probably isn't quite up to it. They were looking to get Kane in, they were looking to get Haaland in, obviously that didn't happen. But I think at the same time, they're still creating lots of chances. Like against Crystal Palace, when they drew that game 0-0, it wasn't because they didn't have a striker. If they had a striker, maybe they would have took one of those chances. But at the same time, they're creating lots of opportunities. And I think Kevin De Bruyne, for me, I think he's up there as one of the best players in the world, which a lot of people might be very surprised by, and they might be like, whoa, that's a bit far. But I really do think he is. I think he's so good for this Manchester City team. He scores big goals and big moments. He's really taken on that captaincy role now for Man City as well. And as a Liverpool fan, he is the one player that I fear the most, because when Man City play well and when they're delivering and when they're playing good, he is usually the man who steps up and delivers. He is usually the man who sort of gives big performances. You think of the goal he scored against United, I think it was. Did he score at Anfield? I think he might have. He also scored against Atletico as well. Scores in big games and big moments, and he's a player as well that can score from, way outside the box. He has absolute worldies in him. He can play brilliant passes. He'll go on those driving runs as well, which would be difficult to try and stop. So he's going to be a player that I think Liverpool really, really need to sort of keep wary of. But as I said with Man City, when they've played Liverpool, they have changed up their style a little bit in previous years. At Anfield, they were a little bit more conservative. I think they know not to push too high up the pitch, and sort of play the same type of game that they play against Liverpool, because we've seen what Liverpool can do on the counter-attack against them. And I think the Champions League quarter-final a couple of years ago was a perfect example of that, where Man City kept their same principles, kept their same style, and Liverpool just hit them on the counter-attack and ended up beating them 3-0, and it could have even been more. You think of the game, that league game that year as well, they finished 4-3 and we were 4-1 up. But at the same time, with that style, you also create more chances, create more opportunities. They actually beat Liverpool 5-0 in that same season as well. And you look at the games between Liverpool and Man City in the last couple of years, the league game last year at Anfield's kind of an anomaly because of the injuries that Liverpool had and some of the crisis points that they were in at that stage. But generally speaking, at the Etihad even as well, like City have at times been a little bit more conservative in possession, and they've sort of they're very wary of what Liverpool have on the counter-attack, and I think that's why we've seen some of these games end 1-1, 2-1, 0-0 at one stage, I remember a couple of years ago, and some of these games have finished in draws as well. For Liverpool, it will be interesting to see how they approach it as well, and in particular Jurgen Klopp, because Liverpool need to win the game. I think a draw keeps Liverpool in with a slightest chance of winning the league. I think a defeat and it's over. I know that might sound a little bit dramatic, but I just think 4 points is too much at this stage. I think it's likely that City drop points, but I think it's also likely that we drop points as well. And I just think 4 points at this stage, 5 games to go, 6 games to go is too much. So look, I think a win is the biggest thing here. I think a draw keeps us in with a chance, but again, it will be very tough. So it'll be interesting to see how Liverpool approach it, and you could see us maybe sitting back a little bit and trying to hit Man City on the counter-attack as we've had in previous years. The front three is going to be a big one, isn't it? I mean, who do you start? I think even though Salah has kind of been in a little bit of poor form, I think you still start him because he's the one player that can do something out of absolutely nothing, and a goal at the Etihad for his confidence would just put him into top form again, in my opinion. And also as well, there's no other player that really can do the same as him on that right hand side of the pitch. Like, I think Firmino and Jota are kind of two very similar type players. I think Diaz and Mane are more so on the left hand side. So it's interesting. I think, to be honest, if I was Klopp, I'd go Salah, Jota, Diaz, in my opinion, because I think Jota has proven that he doesn't need too many chances to score. He's clinical in front of goal. He maybe doesn't do the same work as Firmino, but at the same time, and now that I think about it as well, because we'll be going on the counter-attack, maybe you need someone like Firmino to dribble the ball, to sort of hold the possession. So it's a tough one, really, because I think Jota is more likely to score, but I think Firmino is more likely to have a better game and set up the likes of your Salah and your Diaz. So, it is a tough one. It is a tough one, isn't it? And I think, you trust in Jurgen Klopp because he's got so much right that whatever decision he goes with, I'll completely back 110%. So yeah, in terms of a prediction, I mean, it's so tough, isn't it? I had a dream last night that we won 2-1. I mean, this game is playing on my brain so much that I'm dreaming about it. I dreamt that we won 2-1. I dreamt that Firmino scored. So could that happen? I have had dreams in the past that have come true before, in terms of big sporting moments, give or take. Could this be another one? I don't know. It's so tough, isn't it? It's so tough. And I think the big thing really is I can see us scoring. Definitely. I can see us getting a goal. The big thing will be is, can we hold out the likes of your De Bruyne's if Phil Foden plays? Sterling hasn't been in great form. Grealish has kind of had up and down moments here and there. He looks lively, but then again, he doesn't look like scoring. And Liverpool haven't been conceding that much as well. We haven't conceded in the opening 45 minutes of a game in our last 19 games. I mean, that is an extraordinary statistic. We haven't conceded in the opening 45 minutes of a game since the FA Cup third round game against Shrewsbury. You know what I mean? And that was a makeshift defence as well. So, you could be even going back to the Chelsea game in the league. So, absolutely incredible stuff. Right, prediction then. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I think what's going to happen is we're going to score in the opening 20 minutes. We're going to hit them on the break. I think Diaz is going to have a great game, and he's going to be the man to get on the score sheet. I think City will come roaring back, and they'll get an equaliser, and in the second half they'll put us under a lot of pressure, and it will look like City are going to win the game. But then I just think we'll sneak it. And Firmino, as I dreamt, is going to score the winner, I think, in front of the fans as well, in front of that sort of end of where the Liverpool fans are. I could be wrong, and look, I've definitely been wrong about a lot of things before, and as I said before, I think we win this game. I think City then beat us at the Etihad. As much as you want to dream about a quadruple, I just don't think it's possible. It's never been done before. You think of all the great teams before us that haven't done it. I think the fact we're even in the conversation and even in with a chance of doing it shows how far we've come, realistically speaking. But I think something will have to give, and I'm hoping it's the FA Cup and not the Champions League or the Premier League. So yeah, I think Liverpool will just about edge it, in my opinion. What I would say as well is the options that we can bring off the bench is key. And I think Trent as well, those sort of balls over the top that we've seen him play against Benfica could be absolutely crucial. Because we've seen, the influence that he can have on the game from that position as well. So there's so many facets of this game. You could go on and on about it. You could go on about the midfield battle. Fabinho in there, obviously playing in that role. How would the likes of Ruben Diaz deal with the likes of a Firmino? How's Van Dijk going to get on? I mean, there is so much facets of this game. There really, really is. And it's going to be incredibly interesting. Another point worth mentioning as well is Trent, obviously exceptional getting forward. I think he gets a lot of slack defensively, and I don't really agree with it, to be perfectly honest. I think the system we play is the system we play with a high line. And Trent seems to get a lot of slack at times for whatever reason. I don't think he's as bad defensively as what a lot of people have made out. It's more so because of the positions that he takes up and the space that he leaves in behind. But it will be interesting to see who's going up against Trent. Will it be De Bruyne? Could it be Sterling? We've seen that one before, obviously, as well. Foden, maybe. Grealish. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'd fancy Trent to get the better of Grealish anyway. Famous last words. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here anyway. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think Liverpool are going to edge it. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being biased. But at the same time, it's very hard to look past Man City. Man City haven't been beaten since the Spurs game. So, which actually wasn't that long ago, to be fair. But yeah, I'm going to back Liverpool but we'll wait and see what happens.